Hello and welcome to MoonShotStudios. I am Ben and this is a No Man's Sky tutorial. Ever since the Voyagers update that came out just last month, I've noticed online there's a lot of new players and a lot of people get a little confused about what to do and especially how to leave the first planet. So in this tutorial I hope to go step by step by playing through the game and explaining what and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when you first launch the game, you'll be presented with this screen. Go into play, just hit new game, and then you'll have a few different options here. So here's normal. This is the one I suggest for new players. It's going to be an infinite journey, explore and survive in a boundless universe. It's going to have story, relaxation, and a little bit of battle, a little bit of fighting versus the Sentinels, which you'll become acquainted with them pretty soon. Relaxed, everything's just a little bit easier to manage. Things cost less units. Custom, just make it however you want. Creative, explore and create freely, no cost, no damage, no limits. This is cool if you want to test out a build of a new Corvette or build a base or something and you just don't want to be constrained to having to mine and gather all the resources in which to do that and all the blueprints and such. This just gives you everything and you can do whatever you want. Survival mode is everything is more hazardous. You have a smaller inventory and increased costs. Everything's more expensive. So especially if you're a new player, don't do this mode. Unless you really want a challenge, but because it will give you the same story and everything. It's just going to be a lot harder to get through and a little more frustrating, and everything's going to take longer. Down here, if there's an active expedition, which is kind of like No Man's Sky's seasonal content, the expeditions unlock technology and, equipment or posters or artwork that is available across your entire account for all of your characters, but it's only if you play through the expedition. Now, you can do that on a separate save file, which I do recommend. So for this tutorial, we're going to be all about getting off that first planet and just kind of generally understanding the layout of No Man's Sky. So let's get going. In the very beginning here, you are in this white purgatory. It says begin initialization. If you're on PC, you just hold down E. If you're on console, then just hold down whatever button it's telling you to. So, in the beginning, it puts you on a random planet somewhere in the galaxy. Odds are no other player has been here. So this planet is yours.
Aerial propulsion jetpack online. Multi-tool and mining laser attachment operational. User initialization sequence complete.
All right, so now we are in the game. So it randomly assigns a planet or randomly drops you on a planet and randomly builds your character. Now you can change your character later on. This is not permanent. So right here on the right hand of the screen, it says perform a scan to find sodium, because if you notice in the left, there's this little shield with a flame on it, and that progress bar, it's going down slowly, but it's going down. That means it's too hot. And so once that gets to the bottom, I'm going to start losing life. So to restore your hazard system, we need to collect sodium. So we need to hit C or whatever button it's telling you on console to perform a scan around us. So I'm going to hit the right click to put this little note, this progress note in the bottom right, and then I'm going to press C. Uh-oh, scanner critically damaged. So that's not good. All right, so scanner status, critical damage, recommendation, repair scanner. That seems like a good rec. So down here it says gather ferrite dust for repairs. The bulk of the early game is collecting resources. Now, there's two main resources that you're going to need pretty quickly. Ferrite dust and carbon. So if we go around, you can see this X is popping up. This is for things that I can't currently mine, but we need ferrite dust. Ferrite dust is a mineral, and minerals come from rocks. So if you just kind of mouse over various things, this one says unidentified mineral because we haven't scanned it yet. Don't worry about that for now. And it has ferrite dust. So we're going to get out our multi-tool here. And on console, I think it's hold down the trigger. On PC, it's just left mouse click. So we're gonna just blast these rocks until we find enough ferrite. So we're gonna go ahead and mine some of this up. I'm just gonna grab this. A little bit of OCD. I hate like half mined nodes. All right, so now it says repair scanner damage. So to repair anything and to look at your inventory, we hit tab on PC or whatever button on console. Now, because the mission is to repair this, it automatically loaded into our multi-tool tab. And so this thing is blinking. This is the scanner that we need. So to repair it, you just click on it, and then we put in the 75. We put in the 75 ferrite dust there. So we've got that prepared. While we're here, let's take a look at this menu. And again, we just hit tab to get into the menu. So we're gonna hit these other tabs. This is Starship. So this is our ship. It's out of range right now. So we'll deal with this later. This is our exosuit. This is where you're gonna be spending a lot of time in the game. We're gonna be upgrading this and such. So let me explain what we have here. So over here we have technology. And so this entire box here is the technology part of it. And then down here is cargo. And so whenever you get new technology, you'll be installing it in these slots. And then cargo is just whatever you mine, you know, whatever you find materials wise and such. We'll go down here. And throughout the game, you'll get the opportunity to get more slots. So you'll fill in all these blank squares with squares that look like these. And so that's really handy. So you'll be spending a lot of time in here. Now, the next thing on the progress is use the scanner we just made to scan for sodium. So we'll hit C, and then sodium shows up as these sodium-rich plants, these Na triangles, or diamonds. So we got one here, and for this, we don't need to use our multi-tool. We can just pick these up. And so now, depending on how you have your keyboard mapped out, you can either press Tab, go in here, click on that, throw the sodium in there, and now we're at 99%. So if you look at the bottom left where that fire shield is, now that bar is completely full. It's going down, but now it's full, so we're safe for the moment.
Starship signal detected.
Okay, now we have found our starship. So now we need to follow this marker to find our starship. It's only 560 units away. So now down here on the right, it says use spacebar to use the jetpack. So we've got a cool jetpack, although it has a limited boost, so just be careful so you don't fall and hurt yourself. And then it also says use left shift to sprint. And you'll notice there's a little guy there in the bottom right. With a little meter, and it's going down. Once that runs out, you'll slow down. And then when it fills up, you can just run again. All right, so there's our ship. So we found it, but it appears to be on fire, which is not the state you want your ship to be in generally. And so we'll go ahead and go to the marker here. It looks like there is an iteration pod. So we'll check it out. And this begins the first part of the story. So because this is a tutorial, I am going to skip the story elements as much as I can, so you'll be able to enjoy that part of the game on your own. So it says investigate the crashed ship. So we're going to go over here and we'll go ahead and get into it. Launch thrusters offline. That's no good. Pulse engine also offline. Cool. Off to a great start. And so we'll go ahead and connect the exosuit or select desired repair path. So repair ship systems. Self-guided repair protocols initiated. It says our pulse engine is critically damaged. So we're going to need a hermetic seal and some metal plating. Okay. So what's this? We need to make a repair pulse engine. We need to make metal plating. So to craft things, you just go into your exosuit inventory and you can click on one of the boxes, and these are all the things that you know how to craft, which is very small at the beginning. And so we need a metal plating. Well, this takes 50 ferrite dust. So we gotta go find more rocks. And so even some of these small rocks will help. It's actually pretty easy to find ferrite dust. All right, so we have our 50 ferrite dust. So we need to now craft, and in the game will kind of show you what you need depending on what you have highlighted. So now it says repair pulse engine. Well, we don't. We don't have a hermetic seal, so we're going to need to find a hermetic seal. So how do we get that? Starship critically damaged, vital ingredients missing. Yeah, unable to synthesize required components. Pulse engine requires a hermetic seal. So we could request assistance. Recommendation, iteration comparison reveals hermetic seal nearby. Salvage planetary chart from distress beacon cache. Okay, so the distress beacon was that thing we talked to a minute ago. So we'll go back to that. And it's going to give us a nav data. Appear inside the beacon's housing, as well as its distress broadcast until it contains a planetary chart. Take planetary chart. All right, so then go into our inventory. We're going to find the planetary chart, and then we're just going to hold down E. All right, so it shows us this is where we need to go to find our hermetic seal. So let's head there now. And on the way, I like to pick up other things that might be important, like more ferrite dust, carbon. We're definitely going to need carbon. Carbon is what we use to refuel our mining laser. So we definitely need to make sure we have carbon with us, otherwise we won't be able to mine anything. But if we press C and do our scan again, you'll notice these dihydrogen crystals. This is water, and we need water to make fuel. We need water to refill our life support system. So sodium is used for hazards, water is used for life support. Okay, so it looks like there's a storm coming in. You can see on the bottom left, my flame shield is dropping like crazy because there's a storm. Oh boy. Make sure you don't fall too far, you will hurt yourself. So hopefully we can get out of this storm soon. Otherwise this could be a very short tutorial. Alright, so this looks like an abandoned complex. So I'm gonna go inside one of these buildings just to get out of the storm for a moment. Ooh. When you're inside, you're not affected by the elements, so this is a good place to kind of reload. You can see in the bottom left, my flame shield is reloading, and it's completely fine. To refill the life support, you can hit charge, and it'll tell you what you need to refill it. Now, I don't have anything here that can actually refill it, or do I? You can actually use a dihydrogen jelly, which we picked up, I think, probably by accident when we were mining dihydrogen. Take a dihydrogen jelly and we can actually make it into a life support gel. Okay, So we can only make one because we only had one jelly, but we can make more jellies because it takes 40 dihydrogen. So now we only have one dihydrogen left, but now we have a dihydrogen jelly, so we can make another life support gel. Now I've got 2. So you can either throw it in there like we did the sodium with the hazard protection a minute ago, or if you press X on the keyboard, you can just bring up this little menu, click, and then scroll over to the life support, click again, and it will give you the option of what to use to refill it. I can only do the life support gel, so we'll just do that. And now it's refilled all the way. So now with our hazard suit and our life refilled, let's go ahead and go outside. There was a warning that said the storm has dissipated, which is great news. Okay, so we'll go into this archive, take the viscous slime, and I'll show you what you can do with this later on. Accessing archive, 6 out of 7 logs corrupted. that's good. The log finishes and the machine wears to life, spitting out supplies. I have a hermetic seal I need to repair my ship. All right, so we got our hermetic seal. And is it actually yeah, it's an actual seal, but we also got the blueprint in case we needed to make more. So now we will go ahead and use our visor to plot our trip back to our ship, because right now, I mean, we're pretty far away. We don't know where the ship is. So on PC, if you hold down F, it requires an installation, and that requires nanotubes. Oh boy. So just because we're out here and I don't want a storm to creep up on us, I'm just going to go back into this building. And then let's see. We need to create the visor. The visor, funnily enough, goes onto the multi-tool, which is kind of interesting because you'd think it would go on the suit. Anyway, it goes on the multi-tool. So we'll click here, but it says required parts, carbon nanotubes. Well, we don't have any carbon nanotubes. So we can go ahead and put it on there, but nothing's going to happen. It's just going to sit there, and technology requires installation. So we'll go back to our exosuit and see what we can build here. Well, here we are, carbon nanotubes. They take 50 carbon. So it was a good thing we grabbed some carbon on the way over. So we'll build our carbon nanotube. We'll go back to the multi-tool, and we'll click that to install technology. And now we have our visor installed. So now we can analyze not only where our ship is, but we can also analyze objects to earn credits. So you also may have noticed at the top of the screen here, there's now all these little icons and markers. So these are the cardinal directions: west, north, south, east and south. But it'll also show your ship up there if you're close enough. So our ship is almost directly due north, and you can see the little icon right there. So we'll go ahead and run back towards there. So we want to collect this carbon here, but it also says analyze. So I'm going to hold down F, and we're going to just mouse over this plant here. And we got 500 credits for the discovery, but also it says this plant has carbon and condensed carbon. Now that's going to be really handy. Usually condensed carbon you have to manufacture yourself in a refiner. I don't think we have a refiner yet, so it's nice that we found it out here. So I'm just going to grab some of it while we're here. All right, so now we tab in, and we have our hermetic seal, so we'll go ahead and install that. And now all we have to do is repair the launch thruster system. That requires pure ferrite and dihydrogen jelly. Now we know how to make dihydrogen jelly already. It's just 40 dihydrogen crystals, and then we craft that into jelly. So we need one of those. Pure ferrite, though, is going to require a refiner. So in the instructions here, it says construct a portable refiner to process pure ferrite. We need 40 dihydrogen. We've only got 1. So let's go get some more dihydrogen. So you can hit C to scan, and anywhere you see this H is going to be dihydrogen crystals. Okay, so now it says my weapon charge is depleted, so I'm going to hit that middle mouse button, click on the battery, go over to mining beam, And then it gives us these options. We've got, it's going to take 80 regular carbon or 27 condensed carbon. I'm going to do regular carbon because it's way more abundant. Okay, so let's see what we have. We have 51 dihydrogen, so we should be able to make this jelly. Perfect. Go in here, put the jelly on, but we still need this pure ferrite. So No Man's Sky is a game where you can mine and craft. Mine and craft. It's unlike any other game. So to access the build menu on PC, you hit B. The only thing we can do right now is the portable refiner, but it requires 30 oxygen and 1 metal plating. To make the metal plating, we need normal ferrite. So we're just gonna go find some more rocks. And sometimes it's good just to go around and just start mining a bunch of materials, you know, more than what the game's telling you, because it's always, like, especially ferrite dust, carbon, and dihydrogen, you're always gonna need it for something. So we'll go in here. It knows we want to craft something, and it knows we want to craft metal plating, so we'll do that. All right, we have metal plating, but now it says to gather oxygen. Well, we haven't really seen much oxygen, have we? So use C to scan. And you see this icon here says oxygen-rich plants. Now, they probably did this on purpose. But you can find oxygen-rich plants kind of all over the place, not to be confused with the condensed carbon. But it's nice that there's 4 of them right here, so we need to get 30 oxygen. One of them gave us 21, so we should have plenty. So, but I'm going to go ahead and pick all of them up. All right, so now we have plenty of oxygen. We can build this portable refiner now. So hit B. Now it's lit up because we can build it. Put it down here. And the refiner needs fuel. Thankfully, it runs on carbon, just like almost everything else. So we'll put some carbon in there. And then, so this is the fuel supply, and then we have the input. So we'll go in here and we'll try to find some of that ferrite dust that we mined. And that's going to convert 1-to-1 to pure ferrite. So this is a nice conversion ratio. It's not always that good. So we'll get 127 pure ferrite. It's only going to take 15 seconds. You can also stop it whenever you want, or you can divide these stacks, and I'll show you how to do that later. All right, so then when that's done, you just grab it and you put it here in your exosuit, and we can leave the fuel in there. Oh, here comes a ship. This happens occasionally. These ships just kind of warp in. You don't need to pay attention to them. Just ignore them. We'll go inside and repair our launch thrusters. And with the pure ferrite that we just made. So there we go. Now, before we launch off the planet, because our ship is prepared, launch system's online, we're definitely going to want to pick up our portable refiner because we're going to need it until we can get a different refiner. Just whatever button it tells you to, or whatever button you've mapped it to, go ahead and pick it up. And you may have noticed that when we picked it up, it gave me some carbon. Well, that was the carbon that was in the fuel supply. So you won't lose that. You'll get it back, and the portable refiner is now in our inventory. So we're going to have this everywhere we go. We can redeploy it when we need it. All right, so all systems functional. Seek answers among the stars. Use W to take off. So hold down W, and now we are flying. So to get to space, generally aim the ship upward, and then hold down W to accelerate, hold down left shift to boost. And there we go. And that is how you get off the first planet. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Just follow the instructions in the right of the screen. It's not always super clear. But there you go. So it says orbital flight achieved. Test startup systems 2 out of 3. Hold space to test pulse engine. So we have our normal speed right here when you just hold down W. We have our boost speed, holding down W and left shift. Okay. And then we have our pulse engine, which is holding down spacebar. And that makes you go really fast. This is for flying between planets in a system. And to cut it, you just hit spacebar again. Oh, it looks like we have frequency. So I'm going to hit X, and we're going to go into this frequency. Incoming transmission, source, that. All right, so this will start our first like long story mission. And if we hit escape, we'll go to the options menu. And in here, it'll load us onto log. And so primary missions, awakenings, and then you'll have secondary missions for other stuff. So the great thing about No Man's Sky is you kind of do this at your leisure. There's not really any kind of countdown or any urgency to any of it. And what's great about doing the primary missions is it will unlock technology, kind of like it just did getting off the planet. You know, we learned hermetic seals and we got a portable refiner unit. The more you do the primary story missions, the more stuff like that you'll get. You'll get access to a lot more things quicker than if you just kind of did your own thing. So, so that's important. But to end this tutorial, I'm going to head over to the space station, which if you look at the middle of the screen, well, about just under the middle of the screen at the radar there, you'll see a little diamond, a little yellow diamond. That shows us that there is a space station in this system. So I'm going to go ahead and engage the pulse drive. So one side of the space station always has an entrance. So we'll go in that way, as opposed to not using the entrance. One thing to keep in mind is that anytime you get out of your ship, it creates a save point. So that's really handy if you just want to make sure that you saved. Just get into your ship and then get out and you're good to go. So here we are at the first space station, and that is going to be the end of this tutorial. This tutorial was about simply getting off the first planet. And in the next tutorial, we will build our first base as we continue with the Awakening mission storyline. So until next time, fly dangerously and take care. Bye-bye.